You want to be good? Be good. But if you want to survive, you're going to need something more. You see, no one talks about this. Not in school, not in books, not in therapy. Because we're told to be kind, to forgive, to turn the other cheek. But out there, where people lie with a smile, betray with hugs, and feed on your weakness, kindness without boundaries becomes bait. And survival? Real survival. The kind that keeps your soul intact and your name unbroken, requires a little bit of darkness. Not cruelty, not evil, but something untouchable. A cold edge in your voice when someone tries to use you. A stillness in your face when they expect you to panic. A silent no that doesn't need to be explained. That's not being bad. That's being awake. So no, this video isn't about becoming a villain. It's not about destroying others to rise. It's about activating the part of you that never needed permission to protect yourself. The part that's been there, hidden under the guilt, the fear, the shame, waiting to come alive. Because when the world gets ugly, you don't rise by shining brighter. You rise by sharpening your shadow. Let's begin. We were raised on stories. Stories that told us being good would lead to good outcomes. Be nice. People will like you. Be honest. People will trust you. Be forgiving. People will change. Be patient. You'll be rewarded. But what they never told you was this. Goodness isn't protection. It's an offering. And in the wrong hands, that offering becomes leverage, used against you, over and over again. Think back. How many times did you hold your tongue, and they took it as weakness? How many chances did you give, and they used every one to hurt you more? How many times did you be the bigger person and ended up walking away smaller? You were being good, but the world wasn't playing by the same rules. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't reward goodness. It rewards boundaries. It respects strength. And it fears what it can't control. This is why your survival, your peace, your power, your future requires a little darkness. Not the kind that destroys, but the kind that protects. The kind that says, no, without flinching. Leave, without explaining. I don't owe you anything. Without guilt. Because the world isn't fair. It's not designed to be. And if you walk through it believing that goodness alone will shield you, you'll be a walking target for users, manipulators, and wolves in sheep's clothing. You don't have to stop being good, but you do have to stop being available to people who abuse your goodness. Kindness without a spine is a slow form of self-destruction. So what's the solution? You build the spine. You keep the heart. But you forge a layer of cold steel around it. That's not cruelty. That's survival. Once you realize the world doesn't run on fairness, you stop waiting to be rescued. You stop asking to be understood. You start arming yourself, not with violence, not with rage, but with something far more powerful, psychological weapons. The kind no one sees coming, but everyone feels. Here are 5 weapons every cold survivor quietly carries. Weapon 1. Strategic silence. You don't need to react to everything. That's what they want. Your energy, your attention, your fire. But a cold survivor understands. The most powerful move is no move at all. Silence disorients manipulators. They throw bait, and you don't bite. They expect rage, and you give them stillness. Silence is dominance, without words. It forces people to confront their own noise. Weapon 2. Unapologetic boundaries. A warm heart with cold walls. You help, but you don't serve. You care, but you don't carry. No becomes a full sentence, not a negotiation. This is how you stop being everyone's emotional sponge. You stop bleeding energy for people who never asked how you're doing. Boundaries aren't rude. They're the gate that keeps your peace intact. Weapon 3. Emotional detachment. Detach doesn't mean you don't feel. It means you don't cling. You observe without absorbing. You stay calm when others lose control. You know when to walk away and when to let them walk. This detachment makes you dangerous because you no longer dance for approval. Weapon 4. Pattern recognition. A cold survivor studies patterns, not apologies. You notice the smile that doesn't reach the eyes, the joke that carries disrespect, the repeated excuse that's no longer believable. Where others give the benefit of the doubt, you give analysis. And once you see the pattern, you never unsee it. Weapon 5. The exit plan. The cold survivor never gets trapped. They always have a way out, mentally, emotionally, financially. You never make yourself fully dependent. You never let anyone think they own your future. This quiet backup plan gives you power even in chaos. Because no matter how messy it gets, you know you can leave and rebuild from nothing. These aren't weapons to hurt others. They're to protect you, to guard your peace, to help you live with strength in a world that doesn't play fair. They won't teach you these in school because they want you soft. They want you compliant. But now, you know better. You don't need armor. You are the armor. Now, here's the danger. When you start building walls, when you stop giving access so easily, when you learn to cut people off without guilt, there's a risk. You might forget why you did it. The goal was never to become heartless. It was to protect your heart. But in a world that rewards coldness, it's easy to go numb, to stop feeling, to stop trusting anyone, to become the very thing you once feared. But let me say this clearly. Being emotionally strong is not the same as being emotionally dead. You don't have to become cruel to be powerful. You don't have to destroy people to win. You don't need to close off everything to stay safe. There's a balance. And cold survivors, the real ones, they find it. They stay kind, but with clarity. They offer help, but not at their own expense. They love, but they don't lose themselves in that love. A cold survivor doesn't shut out the world. They just stop letting everyone in. They don't lash out. They move with precision. Their words land softly, but carry weight. Their actions are measured, but impossible to ignore. It's not about becoming feared. It's about becoming respected. Not because you bark the loudest, but because when you speak, everything stops. You still laugh. You still care. But no one gets access to the core unless they've earned it, and earned it with time. This is what it means to carry darkness without drowning in it. To be calm, not cold. Strong, not cruel. Guarded, not bitter. And here's the paradox. When you learn to walk with darkness, you actually start to see clearer. The lies, the games, the energy vampires, you spot them faster. And because you're no longer desperate for attention, love, or belonging, you get to choose who you truly let in. That's freedom. That's real power. You know who never sees it coming? The ones who think noise equals power. They shout. They perform. They flex. But survival doesn't belong to the loud. It belongs to those who move in silence, who disappear before the storm hits and reappear after everything collapses. Let me tell you some stories. Story 1. The One Who Walked Away. There was a man who was constantly overlooked, not because he wasn't smart, but because he didn't push for attention. People spoke over him, took credit for his work, laughed when he left early and didn't join the drama. But while they were busy climbing noisy ladders, he was building quiet exits. One day, when the company crashed and all the loud voices were begging for help, he was already gone. With his skills, his peace, and his next move ready. He didn't fight for power. He became so independent, he no longer needed it. Story 2. The Snake in the Garden. There was a woman who trusted too much. Friends, family, even lovers, they all took from her. She gave, they drained, until one day she stopped explaining. She stopped warning people. She just vanished from their lives. No fight, no breakdown. Just a clean cut. Years later, those same people wondered how she'd risen so far. How she'd built an empire with no one behind her. They missed it because they were looking for noise. But she had learned, silence is the sharpest blade. Story 3. The Man with No Reaction. This one's the most dangerous. He doesn't yell. He doesn't gossip. He doesn't even flinch when you try to provoke him. He just watches. People think he's weak until they realize he's 10 steps ahead. He saw the betrayal before it happened. He saw the game before it started. And when the chaos hit, he didn't react. He repositioned. This is the mindset that outlives storms, scandals, and schemes. You'll never find these people in the spotlight, but you'll feel their presence when everything else falls away, and they're still standing. They are the quiet survivors, the ones who took their pain and turned it into power, who turned their darkness into clarity, and never needed to prove anything to anyone, because they weren't trying to win in public. They were winning in silence, and on their own terms. So here's the final truth. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're not here to be understood by the world. You're here to survive it, to move through it, to shape it around your terms. And to do that, you will need a little bit of darkness, not to harm, not to control, but to defend what is yours, your peace, your dignity, your time, your future. Because being liked is a nice feeling, but being unshakable, that's a power no one can take from you. You were taught to smile your way through disrespect, to love through betrayal, to give chances after the knife is still in your back. No more. From now on, you walk different. You speak less, you move quieter, you observe more. You stop giving your soul to people who never earned your trust, and you stop begging for places that require you to dim your own flame just to fit in. The new you is watching, calculating, learning, protecting, not cruel, just clear, not evil, just aware, not heartless, just finally done with the lies. And the best part? They won't see it coming, because they never expected the kind one to wake up.